A few years ago, you told me that, I think you were at a conference or a symposium, and you, of your colleagues, and it seems to me there were a few hundred or 1,000 there, and you stood up in the room and you said, how many of you would recommend this surgery to for yourself or your families? Can you tell us about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done it a couple ways. First of all, I said, look, if you're going to have a fusion for back pain, what percent success rate would you want before you did the surgery?
Mm-hmm.
So I asked people, said, if it was 90% success, how many people would raise their hand? And probably 80% raise their hand. I said, if it's 75%, how many would do it? And about half the room. And 50%, less than a third of the room raised their hands. I said, how about 25% success rate? If that's a success rate of spine surgery for your back, would you go through the surgery? Of course, not one person raised their hand. That's the data. That's the real data. 25% of people get better. These are all professionals in the room, right? They don't know the data.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the data until a few years ago. So somehow, as a surgeon, we're programmed. We're doing this big intervention. Somehow it has to work. It's not like it never works. I mean, 25% of the time that it does. And then 75% we just sort of cast off to the wind. We never see them. So we don't have enough follow-up in our system to actually see the results. So the doctor sees the patient, does the surgery, 3-month follow-up, done, and they never see the 2-year fallout.
Mm.
So there's a complete disconnect between what I do to you and what happens 2 years later.
Right.
And then 5 years later, I've had one patient who had 29 operations in 20 years.
Gee.
Another guy had 18 operations in 36 months. Another nurse had 7 operations in 10 years. And I see this all the time. I had one 35-year-old kid who had 3 operations in 5 years, did not need any surgery at all, completely disabled with chronic pain, skin rashes over his entire body from just being totally frustrated and adrenalized, and he had pretty much lost his mind at that point. So again, the doctors don't live with the long-term follow-up. They go to another doctors.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my solutions for chronic pain, by the way, in excess of spine surgery, is that every patient that you do surgery on, you have to follow for that patient's rest of their life. But we get paid for 3 months of follow-up, and that's it, done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would solve a lot of problems.
And that shuts down or short circuits the database too.
Yep.
Wow, that's an amazing story.